Thanks, Cliff. Finally this evening, there is music in the air tonight in Hollywood. Take a listen. It is the sound of jazz coming from the Vine Street Bar and Grill. Numerous musicians gathered tonight to pay a soulful tribute to legendary jazz artist Esther Phillips. Known for her hit, What a Difference a Day Makes, Phillips died bankrupt about a year ago. Tonight's benefit is to raise money for a headstone for her grave and to establish a scholarship fund in her honor. That's our news for now, and we thank you for watching tonight. Stay tuned now. Jim Hill.
Jazz and blues greats gathered last night in Hollywood to pay tribute to one of their own. But there were no plaques, no statues. Instead, there was music as performers try to keep their colleagues' memory alive. Channel 2's Roy Firestone was there with this tribute, and he has details now. Roy?
John, thank you very much. The jazz and blues great Esther Phillips lived and died in a kind of classic jazz and blues stereotype, battling drug and alcohol addiction, finally dying penniless. But last night at the Vine Street Bar and Grill, some of her contemporaries were determined not to see an old cliche perpetuate itself.
How are you? Hi, baby. How you Haven't seen you in ages and ages.
It was an emotional scene last night. Jazz is made up of emotional people, compassionate people. People like Carmen McRae and Linda Hopkins, Maxine Weldon, Etta James. They were there at the Vine Street Bar and Grill, sharing some smiles, some home-cooked soul food, and some fond memories of a friend.
It's because we love one another and we respect one another.
She lived it, she breathed it, she was it. And we all miss her, you know, very much.
Her name was Esther Phillips. She had a hit record a decade ago, What a Difference a Day Makes. She sang jazz and blues because she knew the life. It was a struggle for her. When she died, her estate couldn't even put up enough money for a headstone on her grave.
This thing about jazz, which is extremely important to all of us here, is not put in a category where people can make a great living and not have to go through what we're going through right now.
I went through that scene. I mean, me and her was right down to the ground with it. And I know what she went through because we went through it together.
Yesterday I saw.
And so the performers, who've made a very tough living, playing and singing in small clubs and taverns, and in some cases honky-tonks, well, they sang again last night. They sang for Esther, to raise money for her dignity and her memory, enough money for a respectable grave, and a scholarship in her name at UCLA.
It may never come. It wasn't made for some. For all we know.
There's nothing you can do about it. You know, it's just one of those things. You just have to hope and pray that your memory will just keep going.
And so Esther Phillips will have a headstone. The scholarship, well, that's still pending. You know, jazz and blues artists have a difficult life, to put it mildly. And on Friday night of this week, we here on Channel 2 are proud to present a look at the men and women of jazz. It is called Jazz, America's Music. That's Friday night at 7:30. We urge you not to miss it.
Okay.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Roy.